If you look at my channel, you can tell I've spent a lot of time playing the Elden Ring network test. And one question I often receive is Elden Ring gonna be too easy? Well, as of now, about 16 or 15 days before release, I do honestly think that Elden Ring will be a lot easier than the previous games. Don't get me wrong, now that doesn't mean you can have one hand on the controller, other hand, looking up Melina Rule 34. It could still be a challenging game, it will just be easier than their previous games. And there are a lot of different reasons why. Now before I get into it, as always, if you do enjoy this video at any time, please do consider subscribing, because about 86% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed. And if you enjoy my content, why not subscribe? I make lots of spoiler-free Elden Ring content, so if you're into that, join in. Also, to those who are subscribed, in about 2 weeks when the game releases, I do plan on live streaming my first playthrough, so if you want to join in, my Twitch is in the description. With all that being said, let's talk about difficulty. If you've been watching my stuff for a while, you've probably heard me say before that I do not care about difficulty in Souls games. I never really found them to be that hard aside from first playthroughs. I don't really think Fromsoft Souls games are, the big, evil, undefeatable, impossible to beat games that some people make them out to be. So if Elden Ring's a little easier than the other games, so what? I'm still gonna have a fun time. However, I do know a lot of people play these games for the challenge, so they might not be too happy with Elden Ring. Before I go over what makes Elden Ring so much easier compared to the others, we need to talk about why the other games are considered so hard. Also, I do want to say, when talking about difficulty, I will mainly be talking about Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3. I haven't really had the time to finish Sekiro or start Demon Souls Remake, so I can't really speak for those. And Elden Ring works way more similarly to Dark Souls and Bloodborne, so there are many different factors that made the Souls series considered so hard. Things like its unforgiving environment, having to manage your flasks and be careful of how much you use, unique boss design, learning timing on rolls and parries, and of course there's not that many checkpoints. Some areas had so little bonfires that you would have to find a way to take no damage while running through a bunch of enemies to get to the boss room. Fromsoft and Miyazaki themselves have said that they designed Elden Ring to be a lot less stressful than the other games. In doing so, they removed some of the challenges that made the previous games so hard. One of these things they did to reduce stress in Elden Ring is add a ton of checkpoints. Once again, I am basing this off of the Elden Ring network test, so this could be completely different in the full game. But as of right now in Elden Ring, it looks like there will be tons of checkpoints. In Elden Ring, they renamed bonfires to graces. I'm still just gonna call them bonfires because saying graces is kind of weird. But anyways, there are a ton of these checkpoints throughout the map. Not only are there a ton of bonfires, there's also a new checkpoint called a Stake of Marika. Stakes of Marika tend to be nearby a boss room or an enemy camp, so I think it's safe to say that they completely removed the struggle of getting to a boss room without taking any damage or losing any flasks along the way. Speaking of flasks, since there's so many different bonfires around the map, you will never have to worry about running out of flasks. And if you somehow do, don't worry, because they have a solution for that too. If you saw my video about infinite flasks in Elden Ring, you probably already know what I'm going to be talking about. In Elden Ring, there is a feature where if you kill a group of enemies, you get your flasks back. There is no specific number of enemies you have to kill for it to work. You can quite literally kill 3 hollow dudes on the side of the road and get your flask back. Of course, the number of flasks you get back depends on the group of enemies you killed. So from killing 3 hollows on the side of the road, you'll probably only get like 1 flask back. But I mean, hey, that's still a flask, right? Depending on the enemy, this can also work by just killing only 1. Killing a troll can give you 4 flasks, killing a dude on a horse can give you 4 flasks, like goddamn. Now, I know it is an open world game, so this does kind of make sense, but with the amount of checkpoints there are, like, this is kind of overkill. On my Flask video, a lot of people also mentioned that this feature was in Dark Souls 3, however, it's not fair to compare the Dark Souls 3 version of the feature and the Elden Ring version of the feature. The version in Dark Souls 3 literally was so random and inconsistent, it was not reliable at all. In Elden Ring, you can get this to work every single time. If you want to know more about that feature, you can just go watch my other video because I have more to talk about. Sleep arrows are extremely strong and probably will be one of the strongest items in the game. Now, I don't think I need to explain what a sleep arrow does. I'm pretty sure everyone can tell what it does by its name. So obviously something like this in a Souls-like game is going to be extremely powerful. Now, of course, this doesn't work on every single enemy, but it does work on the majority. There are 3 different ways an enemy can react to a sleep arrow. 1, going to sleep. 2, they get stunned. And 3, nothing happens. Obviously, I have a video going way more in depth about sleep arrows. If I remember correctly from that video, there are probably only about 3 or 4 enemies that completely resist Trina arrows. Most enemies and bosses either fall asleep or get stunned. These arrows really do change the game. It is so easy to clear an area with these arrows. If you ever had a moment in any of the other Souls games where there was an enemy in your way that you really did not want to fight because he would beat the shit out of you, well, sleep arrows are your solution. With these arrows, there's quite literally no reason to fight a fight you don't want to fight. God damn, how many times did I say fight? If you really wanted to, you don't even need to kill anyone. For most areas, you can just put everyone to sleep and walk past them. On top of that, for some godforsaken reason, these arrows can pierce shields, so if an enemy's using a shield to protect himself from your arrows, well, it doesn't matter, it's bedtime. These arrows also make farming for certain materials extremely easy. If you don't know, to get smithing shards, you need to kill trolls. I got some good news for you because farming trolls is extremely easy since they fall asleep. You can also put that one stone troll boss to sleep, so I'm assuming it works on any type of troll. Now, putting a troll to sleep and getting one critical attack, you know, that's not crazy. One crit attack isn't gonna kill a troll. The cherry on top of sleep arrows is the fact that there is no cooldown for them. The moment an enemy wakes up, just shoot them with another arrow and they're back to sleep. This is extremely powerful against trolls since their sleep and wake up animation is extremely long. You can actually just stun lock them between sleeping and not sleeping, and it's fucking hilarious. If Fromsoft asked me what needed to be nerfed in Elden Ring, I would 100% say sleep arrows. The perfect way to balance them would just be reducing the amount you can hold. I feel like 99 is kinda overkill. Overall, if Elden Ring is anything like the network test, I really do think it will be a lot easier than the previous games. Fromsoft and Miyazaki wanted to make Elden Ring less stressful, and well, I think they did a good job. I can see a lot of people who expect it to be a hard game be upset about this, but I mean, personally, I don't really care. I think it'll still be a fun game. One thing everyone can be sure of though is that none of the bosses are any easier. They said it themselves. Anyways, if you made it this far, you're awesome. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please drop a like. If you're new, definitely subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.